Lewis Hamilton is finally fired back at Ferrari president John Elkann after weeks of growing tension, criticism, and chaos inside Maranello, and his response has shaken the entire Formula One world. What started as a disappointing season for Ferrari has now exploded into a public power struggle between the team's most powerful figure and its most decorated driver. Elkann's brutal comments telling Hamilton and Charles Leclerc to talk less and focus on driving were intended to sound motivational. Instead, they ignited a full-blown crisis that has left Ferrari's leadership divided, the drivers humiliated, and the paddock stunned. Hamilton, who joined Ferrari to live a dream, has found it turning into something closer to a nightmare, one he has finally decided to confront head-on. Inside Maranello, the mood has turned toxic. Elkann's outburst came after yet another disastrous weekend in Brazil, where both Ferrari cars failed to finish, and Hamilton once again became the easy target. The president's remarks have been slammed across the motorsport world, with critics accusing him of bad leadership, and even members of the Ferrari organization privately admitting the speech did more harm than good. To make matters worse, whispers have emerged that some engineers were offended by the improvement documents Hamilton personally submitted to help the team recover its competitiveness, documents meant to inspire progress, but now being misread as arrogance. Combined with the revelation that Ferrari spends nearly £2.5 million per weekend on Hamilton's program, the tension inside the Scuderia has reached boiling point. Hamilton's reply wasn't loud, but it was devastatingly clear. After being told to keep quiet, he chose honesty instead. "I've been living in a nightmare for a while," a raw admission that exposed just how deep the problems go. His words weren't aimed at the mechanics or engineers, they were a message to the top. He's tired of carrying the blame for a car that isn't delivering, tired of watching public criticism replace leadership. And yet, behind that frustration, there is still the determination of a seven-time champion who refuses to give up. The chaos began after Brazil, where Ferrari endured one of its most humiliating weekends of the season. Charles Leclerc was eliminated in the opening corner through no fault of his own, while Hamilton's race dissolved into chaos after collisions with Carlos Sainz and Franco Colapinto left his SF25 nearly undrivable. The car lost almost 40 points of downforce, forcing Ferrari to retire him. The frustration intensified when the stewards handed Hamilton a 5-second penalty for the incident, prompting his furious radio message, "These guys are a joke." It was the sound of a man who had given everything only to be failed by both the car and the system around him. But the true explosion came later, not from Hamilton, but from John Elkann himself. Elkann's comments were meant to be motivational, but they came across as an open attack. "Our engineers are improving, our mechanics are the best, but the rest is not up to par." The implication was unmistakable. Ferrari's drivers Hamilton and Leclerc were the problem. For the man who personally approved Hamilton's record-breaking contract to publicly criticize him, it felt like betrayal. Even worse, Elkann's timing was awful. Ferrari had just won the World Endurance Championship in Bahrain, proving the brand could succeed, just not in Formula One. Hamilton's response was quiet, but hit harder than any press release. "I've been living in a nightmare for a while." This wasn't anger. It was disillusionment. A man who came to Maranello seeking inspiration was now confronting the harsh reality of dysfunction. Yet beneath the pain was defiance. "Tomorrow, I'll get back up. I'll keep training. I'll keep working with the team." This is the essence of Hamilton: resilient, relentless, refusing to let chaos break him. Inside Maranello, Ferrari's internal tensions are boiling over. Sources admit Elkann's remarks caused shock and anger among senior engineers, many of whom felt the president had humiliated the entire racing division in public. Some insiders even claim Elkann's outburst was triggered by a heated phone call with team principal Fred Vasseur after the double DNF. Ferrari's PR spin that the comments were meant to motivate has convinced no one. According to BBC's Andrew Benson, it has only exposed how fractured Ferrari's chain of command has become. At the center of this storm stands Hamilton, the £2.5 million per weekend superstar brought in to lead Ferrari back to glory. Now, some within the team accuse him of not delivering enough for the money he earns. Former driver Robert Dornbos even said, "They pay him millions, but he doesn't deliver anything." But the truth is simple. Hamilton hasn't been given the machinery to perform. Former team principals and drivers agree. Günther Steiner called Elkann's comments a sign of bad leadership, insisting that great teams protect their drivers, not shame them. Jenson Button and Karun Chandhok also defended Hamilton, reminding fans Ferrari's problems are structural, not personal. Inside Maranello, morale is collapsing. Engineers are demoralized, drivers are under pressure, and team spirit is at its lowest since 2020. Even Elkann's loyalists admit his attempted motivation has backfired. For Hamilton, the frustration goes beyond results. He joined Ferrari not just to drive, but to help rebuild an iconic team. What he encountered instead is resistance, pride, and an organization struggling to accept outside ideas. Yet, even amid the turmoil, he remains calm, a reminder of why he is a 7-time champion. Now the paddock watches closely. Will John Elkann apologize or double down? Will Vasseur defend his drivers or bow to pressure from above? These answers will determine not just Ferrari's reputation, but whether the team can survive this internal war. Hamilton's bombshell wasn't a tantrum. It was a wake-up call, a challenge to a leadership that seems lost, a reminder that silence doesn't build champions. Accountability does. If Ferrari truly wants to win again, it must first listen to the man it hired to lead it there. Because the moment a driver like Lewis Hamilton feels unheard, the battle is already lost.